Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? It's time for another video in our series on Charlotte, which is our featured town in our weekly community spotlight series. And boy, have we had fun covering this city. I had no idea all the things were going on. In this video, we're going to talk about education, and this is very important, specific to, especially in terms of Charlotte, because the universities in North Carolina are so famous, Research Triangle and all that, that the Charlotte area continues that theme with an abundance of schools and colleges and community colleges and cooking schools and military schools and schools how to do unicycle and schools how to do a hula hoop while you're on a unicycle. So there's so much going on. Let's spend some time. And as usual, guys, this is a parody channel if you're new to the channel. So what you're about to hear is mostly baloney that I'm going to make up off the top of my head. And here we go. So just looking briefly at the schools, So it has one of the better school systems, the public school systems I'm talking about, in the country. And it's won a number of awards for different categories in the Nation's Report Card rankings, the NAEP Awards rankings, and so it's right up there. And some of these students are unbelievable that are coming out of some of the tech education. And of course, it's not like when I was a kid, when tech was basically building a volcano for the science fair. And of course, it erupted at the wrong time, and it threw hot embers all over the 250 to 450 people in the gym there for the science fair. And of course, you would think, well, maybe I'll get an A because at least it worked. But no, they punish you for making the school look like fools, and therefore you get an F, which followed me from 4th grade on all the way up to high school, where they kind of tapped their pencil on the desk when they were deciding whether to admit me into the honors tutorial college system, where you kind of do a college prep type of program. And I said, yeah, I want to do that because I want to go to that college and meet some girls. I want to meet some college girls. They go, son, you're in 6th grade. I go, I know, but if I don't line it up now, I don't get a shot because I don't have the height to be a basketball player. I don't have the weight and the agility to be a football player. I don't have the brains of a nerd, so to get the girls that way, I'm not the funny guy, and I'm not particularly attractive. So if I don't line it up right now by getting into a school that at least I got a chance, well, then I got nothing. And then they tap the pencil. I hate that. They hold the pencil by the tip, and then they tap the eraser on the desk while they're thinking about it. And then they go, I can't make a decision today. Get back to me in a week, and I'll let you know. And so there you go, waiting a week, can't sleep at night, tossing and turning. Am I going to get into college and finally meet a girl? And that's how it went for me. I don't know what went for you, but I'm just saying that's what it went for me. So very good schools in Charlotte, and that includes the coterie, the abundance of higher education selections. Now, a lot of people say, we don't really need colleges anymore. Why did we ever really need them? Did we really need college these days? So, okay, this is what their argument is. Everything is in your phone. Everything. There isn't. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket, in their purse, in their brim of their hat. I don't care where you keep it. It's nowhere. No part of the day is it very far from you. When you sleep, it's next to your head. When you're in the bathroom, it's in your hand. When you're in the shower, you're taking a shower and you're going over your Twitter feed. I know people that drive with their phone Velcroed to the steering wheel so they can check Facebook as they're going down the road. I know people that have built hats from bike helmets that hold their phone in front of their face so when they're shopping, they can check their Instagram. Okay? So I know that the phone is near you. And so the question is, do we really need college? Because the phone is right there at all times. You can look up anything on your phone. Anything at all. Anything at all. Okay? So why go to school and learn Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or the isosceles triangle, or maybe you learn those in high school. But anyway, why would you take Western culture? Why would you take Eastern civilization? Why would you take the history of man? Why would you take geology, biology, earth science? It's all in your phone. Anything you want to know. And you say, yes, but I want to be educated, and so I can draw upon this information for the rest of my life. You forgot all that information. Are you telling me right now that you can figure out if I gave you two sides of an isosceles triangle, you can figure out the length of the third side? You cannot. And even if you can, you're going right to your financial calculator or your computer, okay, to assist you in making this easy. Because that's, so you're going to learn certain skills. I understand you're going to learn certain skills in college, okay? But the question is, do we really need it to do that way? And secondly, who can afford it? I mean, some of these top 10, top 20 schools, I was in a vehicle with a person the other day. They said, oh, the University of Southern California is one of the top 10 most expensive schools in the country. And I'm like, no. I mean, I'm sure it's expensive, and I know it's kind of known as a rich kid school and all that, but it's not the top 10. I mean, you got Harvard, you got Stanford. We looked it up. It's one of the top 10 most expensive schools in the United States of America. USC. Again, it's a beautiful campus. It's a nice place. But should USC be in the top 10 most expensive schools in the country? What are they asking? 80 grand or something? 80 grand? For what do you call it, tuition? Maybe that includes room and board. But come on, $80,000? That's outrageous. You mean you have to pay $250,000 over 4 years? If I said you could go to it's ridic. It's ridic. Let's just cut it. Let's just cut to it. It's ridiculous. Well, of course you got to pay for all those, but do really? What are you getting that's worth $80? Well, it's going to set you up for a higher level of income for the rest of your life. Guys, there's nothing that's happening in business that you can learn. It's all in your phone. I'm telling you. And you can just learn on the job. What could you not learn on the job that you're going to learn? When you get out of college, you're starting over anyway. They're like, sit over there, there's your desk, and, just do this, do that, and you learn on the job. None of what you learn in school necessarily applies on the job. Maybe there's some networking and all that, but you can do that on your social media. It's in your phone, right? All right. So, but still, I get it. I went to college, and all these people that say, you shouldn't go to college, and then you ask them about their kids, they're like, oh yeah, they're going to college. Well, it's exactly the opposite of what you just said. So I'm presenting their arguments. I say it's up to the kid. If the kid wants to go, they do learn a certain amount from the social aspects and all that, getting along with people and teamwork and all that stuff. But let's move on. We're getting off why do we go on these tangents on this program, on this channel? Why don't you just get to you said the video was about education in Charlotte, and yet here you go, meandering all over. It's like driving down the freeway, and you're not only not on the road, you're not even on the shoulder of the road, you're driving up and over fences and hitting cows. That's in the fields next to the freeway. That's what it's like listening to these videos or these podcasts, wherever you consume my content. It's jarring for the listener and really kind of annoying that you don't stay on the topic. So, all right, that's me talking to myself right there. Now you say, well, gee, Joe, why do you have these tangents? Guys, I don't know. I've got 5 different therapists. They can't even agree. I mean, just the other day, we all went water skiing together. 3 of my 5 therapists and I are on the skis. We're doing these formations. We're up on each other's shoulders on the water skis, doing the cool, formations. And the other 2 therapists are in the boat arguing about me. Like, what's wrong with Joe Ditzel? What is his problem? And they were arguing so much that the driver of the boat, who's supposed to be keeping an eye out on the lake for potential problems, drove the boat up onto the beach into the dining room of the clubhouse of the lake club that is right there on the lake where we were water skiing, causing $450,000 in damages. Who did they turn to pay for it? I said, it's not on me, man. I've paid you guys that much money in therapy bills over the years. I didn't do it. In fact, I should be suing you for the injuries I suffered. So I don't really have an answer as to what's wrong with me. We're still working on it. All right, now what's going on? Who are the universities in Charlotte? Well, you got Central Piedmont Community College. You got Johnson and Wales University. You got University of North Carolina at Charlotte. That's the big one. That's the big daddy-o. You got Queens University of Charlotte. You got Johnson C. Smith University. Guys, these are great schools, man. Listen to this. Davidson College. Think about that. It's technically in the town of Davidson, but still, it's pretty close by, okay? It's pretty close by. And, it's in the top 10 rankings across the country for liberal arts schools, all right? You got Belmont Abbey College, which should garner 10 to 15 to 20% higher premiums on their tuition just because it's such a cool name, Belmont Abbey. Where are you going to school? I'm down at Belmont Abbey. I'm taking English literature so that I can familiarize myself with the thought process of the Greek thinkers of the 19th and 20th centuries. You got Gaston College. Oh, are you kidding me? I didn't realize Gaston College, guys, this is the greatest school. This is really, really good thinking, okay, on Gaston College. When you go to Gaston College, now let me give you a little context. At USC, all of the USC, University of Southern California, all of the students get free Lyft rides. They can take a Lyft ride within 2 miles of the campus for free, unlimited, okay? Now at Gaston College, I don't know if USC stole this similar idea from Gaston or vice versa, but at Gaston College, guys, you get 50 gallons of free gas a month. 50 gallons of free gas every month. Unbelievable. They decided to do something that was in line with their name, in line with their heritage, and it's called Gaston College because deep gas wells were discovered on the campus in the early days when they were deciding on the name, and they said, let's call it Gastown, or for short, Gaston. And they came up with this idea to keep competitive with other colleges that are offering all of these extras. And so they said, look, let's just give them what we're good at. And plus it's cheap for us because the gas is coming out of the ground right in the... In fact, they have some gas wells that are pulling up gas right inside the dorms, right? You can turn on a pump. You can turn on a nozzle in some of these dorms and fill up your car with gas. And use your student card, and you get 50 free gallons a month. And even then, after your 50 are up, guys, if you need more gas, it's cheap. All right? So that is, I'm so excited to see Gaston College on the list there. They're one of the great schools. You got Wingate. You got Gardner-Webb. All right? You got York Technical. And Winthrop. Hey, Winthrop University. Now, Winthrop is great because... Again, It's an older college. It's been around forever, from 1888, Winthrop University. And Winthrop University is named after a guy named Clyde C. Winthrop. And what he was key in developing, not only being the benefactor of the college and the first president, but the reason he had the money to start the college is he was the one that developed those little baling wires that they use to cinch sails to sailboats when they're not in use. When they put the sail down, and they have a baling wire that runs around the sail to keep it from unfurling. And of course, in the early days of before steam power, sailing ships were everything, and that's when that guy was rolling around and using his Abdullah Oblongata to get some things done in this world and make a mark, to make some impact, okay? But let's go back to UNC Charlotte. This is such a cool place, guys. It's the largest college in the city. There's like 400,000 or 500,000 students that go there. And the reason they do, it has such a wide variety of majors and disciplines to offer. It's up in there in the northeastern side, okay? And it's in what they call University City. Now, how brilliant is that? The neighborhood where the university is located is called University City. Now, guys, I don't know about your school or if you went to college or what the name of the town was, but how appropriate is it that they named the town where the college is University City? This is why you go to college, guys. This is why, so that you can make these connections, so that your brain is trained to think on a different level, just like they're doing right here at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. So it's like I said, 400,000 or 500,000 students. Now, a lot of those are commuters. So people say, well, the campus doesn't. Sometimes they go to campus and they go, well, Joe said there were 400,000 or 500,000 students. This looks more like 40,000. Where is everybody? Okay. Because some people want a large school. They want to feel as part of a thing. And when you have 400,000 to 500,000 people going to your school, well, there's a lot going on, guys. I mean, there's small towns that don't even have 5,000 people. I mean, I dated a girl from Ohio that grew up in a town outside of Chillicothe. So not Chillicothe. All right. We've talked to my cousin Bobby from Chillicothe out here on these videos and these podcasts. He said she's from a small town just outside of Chillicothe. And there was 7 people in that town, guys. And there were 6 families and 7 people. So there's a lot of single people. And she was the one daughter of the one lady that had a kid. And so she didn't have anybody to play with. And that's why we broke up, because she didn't like my jokes. All right, so now let's just talk about this great school, because you know, we're talking about some of these schools and why they're so important. And the University of Charlotte, University of North Carolina. So I guess I should explain. I guess I'm going too fast, because the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, okay, this school is one of the centerpieces of the University of North Carolina system. So you have the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, okay? That's the one up there in Chapel Hill, and that pretends that they're as good as the University of North Carolina, Charlotte at basketball. But the only reason they are is there's been study after study that people that go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, they're all good at basketball. So it's no wonder that the team is good at basketball, because if they run out of players, let's say they get in a big fight, there's a bench clearing brawl, and there's not enough players to finish the game, the entire student body is good at basketball. They can just step right in, guys. They're fearless. It gives them that freedom. They call it, in golf, they call it freewheeling. All right, where you're just swinging free. Everything is, you're just dropping balls. Your pars, birdies, par, birdie, par, birdie, 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 par. Okay. All right, so this is considered a research university. Now, what's the difference between a research university and a regular university? Well, a research university, they said, hey, look, we're never going to be Harvard. All right, they just give it up right away. They're just like, hey, we're not going to be Harvard. So why should we try to hire all these expensive professors? Let's get some researchers, and then we can use grad students for a lot of this stuff. Okay, and they're going to look for answers to scientific and, scientific questions. remember when your kids said, why is the sky blue? Why is the clouds white? These are kind of the questions that have been answered, but there's so many that people want to know. How do college students manage to stay up for weeks at a time partying like there's no tomorrow and still be able to attend the final so that at least they don't flunk out of the class? How are they able to do that? And so what they'll do is they'll get focus groups and the researchers that don't make a lot of money, not as much as a highfalutin professor. A good professor at, like, let's say up at Chapel Hill, they're pulling down $250,000. But a researcher, they're happy with 40, 50,000, okay? Because it's either that or working on the construction sites outside of town where you don't even really get a hat, and then your bald spot will get sunburn, and your wife will have to massage you in some aloe vera gel on top of your head, okay? So they research these, and so now, right? So now they have like a petri dish, right? They have subjects they can study right at the college. The students are an abundance of scientific questions that research and scientists around the world are wondering about the natural world and about the celestial world and to a certain extent the spiritual world. Why do college students constantly say things like, God, get me through this hangover, I'll never drink again? Why do they say that every Saturday morning? And in many cases, Sunday morning. And in a few cases, Wednesday through Sunday morning. All right? So that's what they're studying at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and that's why it's such a popular school, is that you're not getting an opinion from some highfalutin professor. You're talking to researchers that are down on the ground, talking to students, find out what is really happening in the real world, and then they report it in some of the highest profile, most important medical and scientific journals of our time, okay? And that's why the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, is so important. Now, they were established in 1946, which is an important thing because the war was over, and they got back to Charlotte, and they looked around, and they go, man, what the hell? We got a small town here. And there's one thing that you can be sure of. When you got some young guns coming back from the war, and they want to get going, they want to build a house, they want to start a family, eventually somebody's going to go, man, we need to get some schooling up in here. We need to get some schooling. And somebody will say something like, well, I just got back from the northeastern states, and there's many a university in that way. Somebody that puts on a kind of an accent like they're sort of educated. But it turns out that they're a pig farmer, and the only reason they got that accent is that they were listening to old radio dramas, and there's that one character that acts like an educated fool, and they're trying to impersonate them. So that's what happened. That's when they looked around, they found this field, and one guy had a couple too many cocktails. He goes, hey, you know what we should do? We should start a school right here, and we'll call the town University City. And they're like, dude, you need to take a nap. But that's exactly what happened, guys. Guys, that's exactly what happened. They called it University City, and they plopped down a school. Well, of course it grew because look, Charlotte's in a beautiful part of the state. And right next to the Charlotte, you got the mountains. Well, all those mountain boys and girls, they come scurrying over the hill to see what's going on. They heard the banging and the clanging of them building those buildings, and they rolled up on their horses, and they're like, what the hell? I mean, what are you building over here? And they're like, guys, we're building a school. You should apply. Apply? What do you mean apply? We'll just come down and get some schooling. They go, no, you got to put your name in. We got to know who you are. You can't just show up and just hang out at the back of the class. So over time, they got the feel of it. It was a new thing for many people. And man, this school grew and grew like a weed. They came from all over. Some of the people snuck over the border from South Carolina and tried to pretend they were North Carolinians just to get in the dang school. And they got busted, and woo, they tossed them out. They got to the border, they threw them over the line and said, "Don't come back." So, that's one reason you got so many rivalries today. Okay? So that's the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. I mean, it's such an important part of the university system, probably the largest of all of the schools in the University of North Carolina system. Now, the University of North Carolina system does have auxiliary campuses at Oxford, at Paris, in London, south of France. They have one at the Gator Farms down in Florida for those majors that want to study gators. They've got one in the Everglades. They've got auxiliaries up there in Canada for people that want to try to learn French so they can meet French girls. I mean, there's a lot of auxiliary campuses. This isn't an international institution, guys. They're all over the place. So I would say they're the most popular and probably the most important in terms of impact of the schools in the Charlotte area is the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. But that's not to diminish the role of all of these schools. Guys, there's like 75 colleges in Charlotte. There's almost a college for every grandpa. In case grandpa wants to go to college, you say, "Grandpa, just pick one." Right? And they'll get some kind of allowance for older folks and come down and get some schooling for free. So, all right, you got the College of We're Not on the Beach. Now, this is something that I made a mistake. See, I thought Charlotte was on the Atlantic Ocean because I'm dumb. And I find out it's inland, and that's why they call this the College of We're Not on the Beach. And now it's a smaller school. But what's interesting about the College of We're Not on the Beach is what do they teach? The biggest major is oceanography. And this isn't where you get into a boat and you go study fish and you go deep sea diving. No, they teach surfing. And they call it oceanography because who's going to get a diploma of surfing and put that up on their wall at their business? It has to say oceanography, but it's really surfing. So they teach how to surf. They don't even barely go to the Atlantic Ocean. Half the classes are in Southern California, Hawaii, Australia. I mean, it's an amazing school, guys, but they get that diploma and they throw it up on the wall so that when people come in, they go, "Oh, you went there to the College of We're Not on the Beach, studied oceanography." That's right. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, guys, I mean, there's so many colleges that we could go through, but I'm losing energy. So, yeah, just keep in mind that you got plenty of choices when you go to school in Charlotte. You don't have to listen to anybody. You got to listen to your heart. Get into your heart. Listen to it beating. And then you decide for you, because this is your life. Mama and Papa and Grandma and Nana and Nano and Grampy and Grammy, Grampy and Grammy. They don't have no cotton to telling you what to do. You do what's best for you. All right, guys, I hope that helps. That's the education system in Charlotte, such a jewel of learning. And come on back. We have so many more videos on Charlotte until we start a new one next week, a new community. And I haven't even decided what that'll be yet, so it'll be fun to find out. Come on back. Yo!